Mariah?
Now we're going to get her name right now that we've known it forever.
And we're live.
La, 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 la. Okay.
All right. Hello and welcome to Over the Ledge Live, the podcast, the #1 and some say only political satire show based solely on the Texas legislature. Over the Ledge gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the shenanigans of the Texas legislature by decoding political headlines and legislators' behavior into easy-to-understand mom jokes. We're just as funny, but not as famous yet. Let's meet our guest tonight. First up, we have Aaron Salinas, an actor, writer, director, and podcaster with passion for good times, fun vibes, and the Spurs glory days. You can catch him on his podcast, Shame Watch, or streaming video games on Twitch with the Con Save. Welcome, Aaron.
Oh my God, thunderous applause. Thank you so much.
Our second comedian tonight is Mariah Gossett. She's a co-host of the Star Trek Discovery podcast and the producer of Bedpost Confessions podcast. Welcome, Mariah.
Giving myself applause is very silly to me.
We all need that
Self-care
boost.
is everything. Yeah.
Our very special guest for this episode is Jeffrey Clemmons, a rising senior studying political science at Houston-Tillotson University. Jeffrey is the student leader with Texas Rising at Houston-Tillotson University, president of the NAACP Unit 69AA, and chair-elect of the College Student Commission. Please welcome Jeffrey Clemmons.
Thank you all for having me. Happy to be here.
Great. Finally, we have the creator and the ruler of the Over the Ledge empire, who needs no introduction. But I'll give her one. Stephanie, I'll take 6 hours of Briscoe Kane committee hearings. Chiarello.
Oh, please do go on. Thanks so much for having me, Amy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, so that happened. Should we talk about what happened in the Texas Ledge in the last 2 weeks? Who's with me?
Anything happen? Anything
Also
at all?
Just a few things. The Texas House is no longer requiring masks on the floor, aside from the ones they usually wear when pretending to like each other.
I'm sorry, were you referring to like my family gatherings or the Texas house? I couldn't.
The Texas House, y'all.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Senate Bill 8, which would ban abortion at 6 weeks and expose providers and volunteers to lawsuits, passed through the House and Senate this week. 6 weeks. That would mean a woman has less than 2 weeks to figure out she's missed a period. And I don't know about you. I think the grace period should be at least as long as we give men to find the clitoris.
Ooh. Here's an amendment.
You said there was going to be a clitoris joke. I didn't think that was good, dude.
All right. A man who appeared to be loading a gun crashed a virtual event at UT where students were discussing the racist song, The Eyes of Texas, marking the first time anyone's been grateful that a meeting is on Zoom.
There's a lot in that one. Fuck.
Some bills to reduce criminalization of marijuana and expand medical cannabis move forward, which means somebody must have finally introduced Texas politicians to another type of green to love.
Oh, hey-o. Still laughing at the clitoris joke.
Yeah, right? And I could see you like you're like getting your book out, right? Like I know what's down here somewhere. A law allowing Texans to carry handguns without a license is in the final stages, which reminds me, so is our civilization. Senator Creighton was so eager to vote for this bill, he returned to work after being in a car crash and passed out on the Senate floor. True story.
Really?
I guess he had such a good ambulance experience, he wanted others to have a chance too.
Mm-hmm. Good one. Mm-hmm.
And yes, Benedict, we have a laugh track. Attorney General Ken Paxton has unblocked 9 Texans on Twitter in the wake of a lawsuit claiming that he violated their First Amendment rights. One restored follower's tweet was just the middle finger emoji, to which he responded, "Angela, please, I said we'd talk about this when I get home." And this is an insider joke because Angela's his wife, okay? Get it? I didn't know quite how to.
And a singer-songwriter.
Yes, she is. Bless her heart. All right. Lawmakers debated the renewal of Chapter 313, an old tax break designed to lure companies to Texas. But that takes away funding needed by Texas schools. The tricky thing is most Texas school books don't go past Chapter 3, so no one's actually read it. Is it lure? Lure?
No, say it Texan. Lure.
Lure. You lure the companies.
Lure these companies.
All right. Attorney General Ken Paxton says he won't support Governor Abbott for re-election next year because Ken needs Greg to step down so he no longer has immunity and can complete his goal of suing every single Texan. Thank you. I like that face, Aaron. Yes. Okay, ERCOT says Texas's risk of summer blackouts is low despite projected high power demand. This is like the captain of the Titanic saying the risk of sinking again is low because the ship is already in 2 pieces at the bottom of the ocean.
You're killing it.
Jack Rose. Never let go.
There was room for him on that board.
Oh, obviously there was room for him.
But then we would not have had the movie. Guys, come on. Jack died so we could have James Cameron's Titanic. It's a small
I
price
don't
to pay.
understand. And why does she throw the necklace into the water? Like, that's so stupid.
I think the real issue here is wealth redistribution. We need to talk about how we're giving out these blue diamonds.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Okay, finally, Texas has moved from a projected shortfall in our budget to a surplus as the state expects additional billions of federal relief that hasn't even been factored into the budget yet. It's kind of like the ledge is getting their own stimulus check, and we're waiting to see if they're going to spend it on schools or the next Ken Paxton lawsuit. Boom! That was the hat trick, a hat trick of Ken Paxton jokes. You're welcome. Welcome to Over the Ledge, everybody.
You know, I like hockey, and I never knew I was going to hate the word hat trick more than just in this moment.
You're welcome.
Kinda ruined
You're
that
welcome.
one.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
Stephanie, I love the way you keep telling jokes even when nobody but the laugh track laughs.
Thank you, Amy. It's a skill I have. A
You do
really
you to your
special skill. That's right.
That's in the script. I'm not mean. Okay, audience, let me tell you how this podcast works. Our 2 guest comedians, Aaron Salinas and Mariah Gossett, are competing against each other for the coveted Most Knowledgeable Comedian in Austin award. This award is given to the comedian who knows the most about Texas politics, according to the outcomes of the games on our show. Stephanie, show the award.
Ooh.
Nice. Whoever wins it also gets a picture with the special guest, Jeffrey Clemmons. Jeffrey will post on social media the picture and the announcement that the winning comedian is the most knowledgeable comedian in Austin. Did we ask Jeffrey if he's okay with this?
No. Jeffrey, hey.
Oh, you don't mind, do you?
No.
Do you remember us talking about that, like Jeffrey bump, like the Colbert bump? We're just all
I
right.
don't know
We're
if
just
that's
milking it.
you know, I can give you a good grin.
Okay.
Look at a smile.
Okay. Great.
If there's one thing to know about the Texas legislature, it is that legislators love filing bills. In total, 6,922 bills have been filed across the 87th Texas legislature, which does not include the 1,801 resolutions filed. It is not surprising that many of these bills don't make it past committee or even get a hearing. In this next game, our comedians will answer questions relating to some of the most obscure bills in the legislature. Best of luck, because they're going to need it.
Oh, no.
As always, comedians can ask our special guest for help a total of 3 times apiece between the 2 games that they play. And Jeffrey, please feel free to jump in at any time, but please don't give us a pop quiz on anything. Let's play obscure bills and see if our comedians actually know anything about the bills.
I was like, if is way more accurate than how.
About these bills that we don't usually hear about. All right, Stephanie.
All right, let's get going. We're going to start with Jeffrey because you're the guest. And I do want to let our podcast audience know that Jeffrey and I ran into each other at the Capitol. I don't know what day it was because they all are blending together.
Yeah,
Wednesday?
it was like hour 37 somewhere along the way.
Oh shit!
Right. Right. And I was like, I know that face and that shirt. So we were obviously meant to be here. Okay, I'm gonna read a statement and some answers, and you're gonna pick the best one. Okay. And I said we're starting with Jeffrey, but what I meant was Mariah. Mariah,
okay.
We're starting with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Here we
go. So.
Republicans in the Texas legislature are constantly trying to prove their state's rights bona fides. State Rep Cecil Bell has authored a bill titled the Texas Sovereignty Act, which would do which of the following? So it's true. He really filed this. What does it do? A, allow the Texas legislature to nullify any federal law they believe violates the 10th Amendment. B, establish a citizens committee to review actions by the federal government to determine if they were constitutional or not. C, establish an individual right to personal sovereignty for all Texas residents. D, establish a state program to certify sovereign Texans who have ancestors who have lived in the state at least for 3 generations.
Oh, dang. Well, I know it's not the one where we individually get to have sovereignty because it wasn't clarified. It's like only being cishet white men. So we knew, there would have to be something in there about that for that to be true. I feel like a citizen committee would be far too responsible. And so I think I'm just going to go with, can you read A again?
Yes, A is allow the Texas legislature to nullify any federal law they believe violates the 10th Amendment.
That sounds right. We're going to go with that one.
I love that idea, but it is the Citizens Committee, to review actions by the federal government because citizens know the Constitution.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be very carefully selected citizens to review that. Yeah.
I like how you applied logic to that, Mariah.
I tried,
it didn't
and
work at all.
I should have thrown it out the window because it's the Texas legislature.
Exactly.
As the representative for normal citizens, we don't know that because she said 10th Amendment. I was like, fuck, there's 10.
All right, Aaron. Ransomware has been the bane of IT professionals everywhere. All it takes is one errant employee to click on a bad link, and ransomware can hold hostage valuable company data that can only be retrieved by paying the hackers. State Rep Giovanni Capriglione has proposed a ransomware-related bill that would do which of the following? A, establish a ransomware task force under the Texas Department of Information Resources that would assist small business owners handling ransomware attacks. B, create a fund to reimburse victims of ransomware attacks. C, ban ransomware payments by local governmental entities. D, establish a program to train small business owners on the risks of ransomware.
So I'm not gonna lie. As soon as you said ransomware, I was like, "Oh my god, that would be like such a great like Instagram influencer like pots and pans collection." Like I was. And I'm not gonna lie. That's what I was hooked on. I was like, "Oh, that would be like so good, like a nice onyx granite color, a gold handle. It'll look good." And I was like, "Oh shit, we're at the answers already." So
roll the dice.
You could ask Jeffrey.
Oh,
He's like, please don't.
I think he's hooked too on this ransomware pots and pans collection. Like I saw that
I mean,
look
I
in his
think
eye.
that should just be the answer. Is like,
Right.
just
Aaron,
come
you
up with a
definitely
better
told me.
version of ransomware.
I'm gonna say the D one because one, they think training is sufficient because you just need to take like a 10-hour course and you can, I don't know, fire a rifle, which we all know
You
is
don't even have to do that to fire a rifle in Texas.
true. You just need a piece of cardboard and you don't even need a piece of cardboard at this point. It's already getting on the floor. I'm gonna say D because that is probably the most cost effective, and that's the quickest band-aid to say they did something.
I'm sorry. Let me just say, Aaron, we don't negotiate with terrorists. It's C, ban ransomware payments by local governmental entities.
Oh,
So
Yeah,
they
because if
don't
you just
let them-
make something illegal, if you just ban it, then people won't do it.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, I'm going to come up with blueprints for ransomware.
Let's do it. So, Jeffrey, this isn't on Texas Risings, like top of the morning to you. You know what I'm trying to say. It's not on
Top
your
of the
list. Top of the
Absolutely.
list.
Yeah.
Top drawer, Jeffrey.
Top of mind.
drawer. Yeah.
Top
Well, I want y'all to, put this on there. Okay, Mariah.
Yes.
Too many non-politicos.
I mean, we're right here. Why do you have
Too many non-politicos. The actions of the Texas legislature and proposed bills can be boring. Oh, too many non-politicos, comma. The actions of the Texas legislature and proposed bills can be boring or mundane. One bill that is certainly amusing, though, is the one filed by State Rep Trent Ashby relating to A, the design of spray parks, B, playground jungle gyms, C, handling basketball disputes at community rec centers, D, the use of vinyl water slides at certain summer camps.
Now, by spray parks, do you mean dog parks?
I think I mean spray can parks.
I was like,
Amy.
I was making a little joke.
I was so focused on the.
I mean,
keeping us on task and high quality here.
The wine hasn't hit quite yet.
I was like, when you said spray parks, my mind went totally elsewhere. Because prior to coming on here, we talked about how I work on a lot of sex and sexuality podcasts. So could have a whole different vinyl slides, also whole different meaning.
You're right.
There's a crossover with bedpost confessions here.
We've got
very
handling
interesting.
balls,
Jungle
gyms.
really just all in my wheelhouse, but not in this particular case. I don't know. Is it saying we need to do I don't understand the first half of the question. I understand the answers.
The question one is, what should we study? What should the legislature study? The design of spray parks, playground jungle gyms, handling basketball disputes at community rec centers, or the use of vinyl water slides at certain summer camps.
Very interesting. Okay. Very interesting. There's a lot more injuries, I would think, with the slides. Water shoots in the eyes.
True.
Issues there.
Burn your elbow off.
Yeah.
If it helps, I just learned what a spray park it is. It is not a graffiti park. That's what I thought it was.
Oh,
what is
it's
it?
Not?
It's like where the parks have, like, in my opinion, a big old waste of water. But it's just
a splash
like
pad.
a little splash pad park. Yeah, that's a spray park.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with splash pads then. Splash pad spray park. Thanks, Aaron. Because I bet it's a big old waste of water.
It's the big old waste of
You should
water.
have stuck with your water slides, girl.
No.
Use of vinyl water slides at certain summer camps. I
My
hope
plan
that
worked.
I should have known child safety over water conservation.
Of course.
so Benedict, write down what this bill is about in the chat on Facebook, please. Okay, great. I'm so excited to go to this next topic. Aaron, abortion.
Why couldn't I get that question?
Why do I always get the abortion question?
Because men know what to do about abortion, Mariah.
Yeah, they're the experts.
Please. Okay, Jeffrey, do feel free to chime in at any time. And please don't go. All right. Abortion has been a hot topic this session, as if
When
it
isn't
never is. Exactly. But only the best, or should I say worst, end up making it to the floor for a vote. State Rep Jeff Kaysen has an abortion bill languishing in committee, like all women in Texas, that would do which of the following? Change the birth certificate to a conception certificate. Require the filing of a fetal death certificate for an unborn child following an abortion. Require that a woman getting an abortion pay for a funeral for the fetus or cells. Require that the male involved in a pregnancy approve any abortion. And one of these is real.
Okay, well, I know A and D put some responsibility on the man, so those are out.
Awesome. I hear your reasoning.
Anyway, I get so mad because it's like women aren't the only ones who can also get pregnant either. And it's just like, why anyway?
Don't tell them that, Mariah.
Don't
let them know. Don't let them know.
I feel like C is true, but I feel like B is very possible. So I'm gonna say C requires. Give it to me one more time. Let me make sure I didn't get my wires crossed.
C is require that a woman getting an abortion pay for a funeral for the fetus.
I believe it's that one.
It's B.
Damn it!
The filing of a fetal death certificate for an unborn child.
That has that.
So
What?
Just as morbid though. I think it still achieves their purpose.
I agree. Yeah, it's morbid and it requires some bureaucracy too.
Yeah.
So
gotta have the administrative burden for sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Texas without it.
The abortion, one of the abortion bills was up on Wednesday. I don't know what day it was. And so people were offering all of these amendments, and we drafted an amendment, pretty much the every sperm is sacred amendment, where we said instead, because they defined fertilization as, and so we defined pre-fertilization as any time a gamete leaves the body, and then we banned, abortion at the pre-fertilization stage.
So banning masturbation.
Yeah, pretty much. And periods, right? Every time you have a period, gotta have one of these funerals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've stopped acting like it has anything to do with health of the woman. That was a scheme for a long time, that this is just about safety, and now it really is just about God.
I think in order to file an abortion bill, you'd have to tell me exactly how fertilization happens, because I mean, this is news to me as well. Recently learned that everything we've been taught about how an egg is actually fertilized in utero is completely wrong.
Is this sarcasm?
No, like it's not like the egg's hanging out and the sperms have to swim. Sperm is terrible swimmers. Like the egg has to choose it and it absorbs the sperm. Yes.
Wait, why are y'all talking about sperm?
The patriarchy is even in our sexual health reproduction.
Why are y'all talking about sperm and eggs? Why aren't y'all talking about the stork? I'm confused.
Anyway.
What school did y'all go to?
I've been really mad at the patriarchy all allergy season as well, because cities picked male trees, which is why we have tree jizz everywhere, and why we all have allergies. The patriarchy is everywhere.
It's a
very dad move to do. Like, I don't want seeds on my car. No. Put that tree jism.
I just want the boy trees.
Yeah.
Gotta wash my truck every weekend anyway.
Jeffrey, are the abortion bills on your to-do list?
They were on our to-do list, and then they got done. So, we only can do so much to tell them not to. So.
I feel that in my bones, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
I have dreams about writing letters to my representatives at this point. I'm so tired of it.
Because it just so happens so often at this point.
Yes, I'm literally in there like all the time. They never respond.
Wait, you have dreams at night?
Yes.
About writing letters?
Yes. Where I'm like drafting a letter that's just like, listen, I was born in Canada and I'm going to tell you how gun control works in Canada because it fucking works a lot better than here.
I know that from Bowling for Columbine. That
Yeah,
movie.
Bowling for
They
Columbine.
talked about, it talks about Canada and how many guns they have and how they don't shoot them.
Yeah.
All right,
remarkable.
Mariah.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, I love it. Hey, Benedict, I need one more question in this game. There are only 5 questions. Okay.
Ruh-roh.
It is time to learn about steel. No, I don't mean what Ken Paxton does for a living. I mean the industrial product. State Rep Jake Elzy filed a bill relating to the movement of steel in 3 North Texas counties, which includes all of the following except. So this is about the movement of steel in 3 North Texas counties.
All
Is
right.
it? Which one? It includes all the counties except Tarrant County, Dallas County, Johnson County, Ellis County. This is really a geography question.
Right. But what is the movement of steel bill do? Is it saying you can't move steel? Is it saying
Wait, isn't this
I
Aaron's
am not
question?
advised.
no? I just
Oh.
talked so much that I think
Yeah,
it
he
seemed
got
like,
the abortion question. Yeah.
and then I got angry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Aaron, how's your geography? North Texas, the movement of steel, and I'm not talking blue steel.
Jesus.
Tarrant
is-
County, Dallas County.
Wait, I thought this was my question.
Yeah, it's
No,
Mariah's
it's-
question.
Are you sure?
Aaron just got the abortion
Okay,
question.
number
Yeah.
1 is Mariah. Number 2 is Aaron. 3, 4. Okay, yeah, it's yours. You're right,
Okay.
Mariah.
The patriarchy is at it again.
Oh, they're always
This
at
time I
it.
had nothing to do with it.
That's how it works, Aaron. That's how it sucks you in.
You're right. I showed up.
By
It's
your
my
mere
fault.
existence, you've perpetuated it.
All right.
Which county?
Counties.
Tarrant, Dallas, Johnson, Ellis.
Wait, but I don't know what this bill does.
I
It's
don't
just
either.
something to do with steel in one of these counties. I'm just gonna guess Dallas County.
Good
Can I-
try.
can-
but
can I
it's
know- no,
about
I know, I
Tarrant
know.
County.
He
Oh,
wants to steal.
Is it
okay, go
Ellis?
for it. No, it's Tarrant.
Oh, what?
Hey, Benedict, put in the chat what's going on here, yo. And don't
Yeah,
just
is it-
cut and paste the link. You gotta
Tell me.
describe it.
Give me
Isn't
the
Tarrant
details.
County? Tarrant County's Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's Cowtown.
Yeah, like
But that's why I was like, is it making it if it was making it easier to work on steel, then I would say like it's probably one of like Tarrant County. But if it's like no steel production, I was like, well, Dallas County probably doesn't
Okay,
want
I'm looking this up. I'm doing all the things. I'm gonna read the fiscal note to
relating the
you.
movement of certain vehicles
says this-
transporting steel.
This bill would add a code to issue oversized and overweight vehicle permits to vehicles carrying steel.
It's about the roads.
Oh my.
So this has nothing to do with steel. This is all about roads.
That was a misdirect.
I think I should get
Totally.
the point because of the patriarchy.
I do too. Give it
Good
to
point.
her.
All right.
give it to
all right.
her. We suck.
Okay, this
Okay,
we've
1
never
to
done
0.
this before. Aaron, you're gonna get a question that is literally being written as we speak.
All right.
Hot
Okay?
off the press.
It's very
Okay.
exciting.
I can
So,
barely
as
answer the
you
questions
know-
that have been prepared.
So it's not just Austin going after poor people, but the legislature just passed a bill that bans camping. And I just want to make a side note here. These people aren't camping, right? It's not like, hey, kids, do you want to go to Yellowstone, Jackson Hole, or Lake Ladybird, right? Like they just happen to have no housing and a tent is all that's there. Which one of these is one of the punishments for camping? Okay. Is it punishable by a fine of up to $500, again, to someone who is homeless, imprisonment for up to 10 days, cleanup construction work like labor, or deportation to Austin?
What?
I guess if that's in another.
We're
No,
gonna bring
I
everybody here.
that was a thing, wasn't it? Weren't like San Antonio and other like sheriffs
Yeah.
were just giving like bus tickets to Austin, like, hey, they'll take care of you over there. Isn't that what some kind? I don't know. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. But
Argument is that heaven forbid Austin let people camp. People are just going to come to Austin to live on the streets, which is the
Right, yeah.
argument.
A lot of people who voted for Prop B, that was their main. Let me just rephrase this. A lot of people who I was surprised were going to vote for Prop B. That was their reasoning.
Yeah. Don't you guys know that they gotta pull themselves up by their bootstraps and like get a job? Like
Yeah.
Oh,
You just
get
give them
a
some boots.
job.
Yeah, they need boots first. That's what like these.
The other thing
God.
is most of them do have jobs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, do you know how much
I
it
didn't
costs
actually know that.
Yeah, most
Oh yeah, there are
Yeah.
plenty of
most people
who,
experiencing homelessness have jobs. They just like can't afford you. I mean, like think
do
about
you
most
think-
apartments you ever go to rent. You have to have 3 months
Yeah.
proven income, a deposit, and then you also like, let's say you lost your driver's license, any paperwork, which is what happens when we sweep people
Yeah.
and take away their stuff.
We had a bulk waste collection in my neighborhood this weekend, and yes, I got some incredible stuff. Don't worry. But what I noticed is there was enough perfectly good furniture and all the things. I could have furnished 50 homes for people who are homeless. Like
Absolutely.
everyone has a mattress, everyone has a dresser that instead of giving away, I mean, anyway, all right, let's move on. What happened, Amy? We took 30 minutes to play that
Wait,
game. That was
I didn't
awesome.
get to answer.
Oh,
Fine of 500.
you got it, Aaron. Ding, ding, ding.
wow.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay, and thanks to the patriarchy, it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say because of the patriarchy. Aaron got a point.
No, I'm going to benefit in some way, shape, or form, Aaron.
Okay, awesome. All right. Next game.
Okay.
This one
Now-
is also in line with bedpost confessions.
Oh,
Perfect.
good. This is.
I'll try to keep my extended commentary to myself.
Oh,
All right.
Get it out.
Now we're going to move on to our next game, which might resemble the name of a party that you went to when you were 20 years old. Jeffrey.
My wheelhouse.
Sorry.
I said this is my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Handcuffs and handles. In this game, we sit down and talk about some of the juiciest, most scandalous news happening right now in our 87th Texas legislative session. In a series of multiple choice and true or false questions, we will be testing our comedians' knowledge about Texas ledge gossip to see who really knows about what goes on in our capital. The comedian who answers the most questions correctly wins and will get a pat on the back because they should know about these things anyway. The comedian who loses will promptly be shamed for not taking 5 minutes to at least read breaking local news. Let's see who's up to date on state gossip. Let's play handcuffs and handles.
Do it again. Do it again, Mariah. Excellent. Okay, so you're tied. So we'll start
I
with
do want
Aaron.
to say I'm really surprised that y'all didn't ask the question about the bill passing that you could get. Isn't it like you can get fined for using the Chilean flag to represent Texas in like different
I
texts?
haven't seen that.
Yeah, that was like two years ago that was trying to get on the, and it had like bipartisan support.
Okay, Aaron, who got arrested today? Ken Paxton, Briscoe Kane, Dan Huberty, or Todd Smith? Hey, Benedict, you didn't update this. You didn't update the answer, bro. Okay,
My cousin
I
Lupe.
think I know.
Answer's right. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't okay. It wasn't Briscoe. Okay, say it again.
Ken Paxton, Attorney General, Briscoe
Mm-mm.
Kane,
Mm-mm.
State Rep Dan Huberty, State Rep Todd Smith, who is a political aide to Agricultural Commissioner Sid Miller.
I'm gonna say that one because you gave a little more emphasis, and I know it can't be Briscoe and Ken because like they're untouchable. I don't know the third guy, and you gave more emphasis on the fourth guy. So context. Help me out. Context. Did this agricultural guy have like a gram in his pocket?
All
Like,
right, you're
irony?
right. It's Todd Smith. Authorities arrested Todd Smith today, who is a political aide to Sid Miller. Smith was arrested on third-degree felony theft for soliciting money and campaign contributions for state hemp licenses.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I knew it had to do with a little bit of the devil's lettuce, as you will.
The devil's lettuce. What's on the menu? Okay. Mariah.
Yes.
Attorney General Ken Paxton unblocks blank number of Texans on Twitter after a lawsuit claiming he violated First Amendment rights.
So you said this earlier.
I did.
Monologue.
Right?
Were you paying attention during the monologue?
That's
And
right.
I
You better
believe
get
it
it
was-
right.
9 people.
Good job. Woo! I'd like you to know that Over the Ledge is one that got blocked. We were not part of the lawsuit, but we're going to sue him on our own.
You said that with a little bit of sadness that you weren't a part of the lawsuit. Were you?
Well,
Were
I
you
am
hoping?
upset with us for not like being a part of the class action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a good class action. I mean,
That's right.
Who doesn't
They're
want to
kinda
get
left
a
out.
random $7 check like 10 years later when you forgot that you filed the paperwork saying that the hair gel made your hair fall out?
The only reason I filed those is because I know that the lawyers get to keep more of it if I don't. So it's very important for me to get that 411. Okay, we got to move things along. This is for Aaron. What daily newspaper did Ken Paxton, at when he tweeted some fake news this week? Did he tag the LA Times, the Texas Tribune, the New York Times, or the Washington Post?
Post.
Times, New York Times. If you haven't heard already, Ken and Greg are kind of going through a rough patch at the moment, and Ken said that he kind of want to break up with Greg, but he didn't want Greg to know that just yet, apparently.
I think I read that in the New York Times.
Yeah, like whoopsie, don't tell. I don't know if Ken Paxton wants to run against Greg. I think Dan Patrick's gonna. All right, we got to stay on target. Mariah. State Rep Dan Huberty was recently arrested for DUI in Montgomery County after rear-ending a minivan late one night back in April, which was like 2 weeks ago. He is pledged to seek counseling. Where was Rep Huberty coming from when he had the accident? A bar downtown Austin, Chewy's downtown Austin, Baby A's, or the Capitol?
Hey, those purple margaritas fuck you up at Baby A's. I will advocate for that. It's a two drink limit.
I mean, the Mexican martinis also.
True.
I mean,
It was the Capitol where there's no. Oh, did you answer, Aaron?
No.
What the happened?
No, it was Mariah.
It's Mariah's
mine. And
Okay.
we were making jokes about drinks, doing what you want comedians to do,
comedians.
Chiarello.
I got 3 hours of sleep last night.
The Capitol makes sense. So yeah, my answer is the Capitol.
Hey, correct,
She got
Mariah.
it.
Great job.
Man,
Yeah. All right.
damn this patriarchy, man.
Yeah, let my heart really bleed for you. Okay. Aaron. Oh, I don't want to ask that question. We're going to move on to this one. In Sid Miller's most recent tweet, he announced his plans to defend South Texas from economic invasion by which of the following countries? Economic invasion. Russia, Mexico, China, Canada. I realized as soon as I said Russia, that was like not appropriate to use an accent, so I'm sorry. Russia, Mexico, China, and Canada.
That might have been worse, Stephanie.
I mean, you said South Texan, and I'm from South Texas, and I'm Mexican. I'm gonna not a lot of Russians where I'm from. That's my analysis.
Have you seen Red Dawn?
Yeah.
I saw the remake with Josh Peck. Not as good as the first I've heard.
No way.
I'm gonna say. I thought you were gonna try and switch it up and say like Salvadorian or something. I'm gonna say Mexico. That's
You're
right?
wrong. It's China. Okay.
What?
It's always China.
But it's always Russia
right.
and it's always Mexicans. I don't know what to believe.
It's so hard. It's so
I would have
hard.
just said all of the above.
Frankly,
Fair.
yeah.
Because now Canada's trying to infiltrate our gun control. I'm just kidding.
Slowly
just
but
Mariah, you're gonna
surely.
love this last question.
Okay.
A lobbyist was accused of using a date rape drug on a Capitol staffer, but after an investigation, whoever it was, no charges were filed, and the alleged incident was declared 100% false. They said no crime occurred. Is that true or false?
I mean, I'm sure they covered it up, but I'm sure the event actually happened. So I guess I'm saying true.
That is true.
Okay.
Even this is so confusing, and that's why I didn't want to.
Right. Well, it's like, I think what you said is true, but I believe the woman was probably assaulted and it was just shoved under a rug.
I heard what they said was there's not enough evidence or something sort of like.
Well, they said there's not enough evidence, and then they said no crime occurred. So which one? Was there not enough evidence, or did no crime occur? I will say that rumors going around the Capitol are not. Are saying that she lied, and I don't believe it. And if she did, I'm really upset because it doesn't help the cause. But yeah, so anyway, it's like even though this investigation, right, they didn't see fit to file charges, we just have to know that like everyone at the Capitol is like, yeah, I can see that, right? Like this is our culture. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I don't want to say I was quoted in an article that was spread all over the nation, but maybe you should Google me. All right. Good God, Amy, what happened?
All right. Mariah has smashed the patriarchy at 4-2. She is the most knowledgeable comedian in Austin.
I feel bad for me. I'm a man.
The matriarchy wins again. All right, I'm going to take a picture.
We're all supposed to smile for this.
Because,
You did promise to smile, Jeffrey. You promised a big grin.
That's a good one.
I did it.
Okay.
All right.
Lily, yes, drop the article in the Facebook. Okay.
All right. Now that you know all there is to know about the latest state legislator gossip, let's meet our very special guest, Jeffrey Clemmons. Yay!
When I forget, I have an applause button.
So, Jeffrey, tell me what your favorite thing about Over the Ledge is so far.
I think it's definitely the clitoris. I have to say, I love the idea of this big old earth smashing the patriarchy, which I think we've done. We've definitely overturned the pink dome. I like what we do here.
Wow!
Give him a writing job.
Can I get the applause?
Yeah. Mariah, some applause, please, for the turning the pink dome. I do want to say, Jeffrey, I don't.
I was gonna say, I feel like a clitoris should be like Over the Ledge's mascot now. Like, I think that was such a good joke. That was good. That was good.
Just like it comes down and it grabs the dome and.
It's a little hard to find, but once you get there, it's high quality.
Yeah. that may be a better fate than what we have coming for us with all of the shit bills that have been passed in the last couple of days, for sure. So I'll take it.
Do you remember, Jeffrey? Do you remember when people were like, "It's COVID, and all we're gonna do is pass the budget and do redistricting and get out of there"?
Boy, do I! That was nice.
So, is this your first session paying attention to the Texas legislature? And if so, what's wrong with you?
I'm a big old nerd. I have studied political science for 3 years now, and have to be at the center of it. But this is my first ledge session, and I've heard that it's the craziest one yet. So I'm glad that I hopped on at just the right time. This is wonderful.
What do you enjoy about it?
I love walking around the rotunda and getting lost all the time.
Yes.
That's probably one of my favorite parts of the legislature.
Yeah, it's hard to find your way around a clitoris.
There's some for sure.
I just want you to know my parents are like 2 of our listeners, and that's okay. They know about the clitoris.
Hello, Stephanie's parents.
Okay, and tell us about the program you're working with. It's called Texas Rising.
Yes. So Texas Rising, we are a statewide organization that works on youth issues. So we do things like LGBT rights, we do voting issues, we focus on climate justice, all of these kinds of things. We organize on college campuses and get young folks involved in this process and try to buck the idea that we don't care. We care a lot because we're dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of young people today are really disenfranchised with the political process. What makes you different and why?
I don't know if there's anything necessarily different about me. I think that maybe I just have too much time on my hands a lot. And so I figured if I'm going to waste my time with something, I guess it could be politics and try and make a difference, right? So I haven't always been interested in politics. I didn't come from a very political family. But I was really moved by like environmental justice issues. You know, our generation grew up being told like pick up trash and like, you know, turn off the water when you're brushing the teeth. And so that very like elementary civic engagement kind of thing. And that grew into a mistrust and a distaste for how dysfunctional our system is. So that's why.
So you said environmental issues like climate change, if you believe in it.
Right. And unfortunately, Texas is one of those states where it's illegal to believe in climate change. It's global warming. So
it's very much the Handmaid's Tale, where you can't say the word abortion or we can sue you. Right? You can't say climate change.
Right.
Tell me about your first experience at the Capitol. Have you been a witness, and what was that like?
My first experience at the Capitol was many years ago at the Texas Book Festival, as a matter of fact. They had a youth writing competition, and I won that competition. But as far as this session goes, we'll just let that be a footnote.
You said that there was a youth, what was it?
So the Texas Book Festival, they used to have like this youth writing competition for like grade levels 7 through 12. And I won like second place for this story that was kind of just a low-key ripoff of Breaking Bad, but we won't talk about that. I still won the award for it. So it was a well-written story. So I guess that's what counts.
Congratulations. We'll need to link to that.
Yeah, I'll try to get it to you all. But as far as this session goes, it was facing down Briscoe Cain in the elections committee the day after that he dismissed us all to lunch in perpetuity. So,
what were you going to say?
Oh, this bill's awful, horrible, terrible. And Briscoe, you shouldn't be chairing this committee. Completely incompetent at it. I think the GOP couldn't have chosen a worse person to like carry this sacred cow of theirs to the finish line, because clearly we barely got there last night at 3 a.m.
So you watched the whole thing last night, and Aaron, it looks like you want to say something.
I was just gonna say, let him know, dude. Get at him, like fuck Briscoe, dude, and those beady little eyes of his, like. Dude, let Jeffrey loose on him. I like him.
Well, you know, the thing is, at the legislature, you obviously run into a lot of your arch nemesis, you know, super villains and things like that. And so I actually locked eyes with him the other day. I just froze up. I was like, oh no, I don't actually have anything loaded up right now, but if you wait. So anyway, that was.
I feel like we should just give you the floor to say what you wanted to say to Briscoe.
Yeah. Let's do some role play. I'm Briscoe.
You gotta get this smaller.
No wonder you couldn't say anything. Look at those eyes.
You've got to have that little smirk of his, and you've got to be a little more coy. Like,
and my little like Jeffrey Dahmer molester glasses.
And you also gotta have a smile like you just shit yourself and like you're a 2-year-old. Like it's a very niche look.
You know what? And I mean this. I mean this because I can't stand the things that Briscoe Cain does at all. But as I'm watching him as a person, my heart is really going out to him. I think he was like the little kid who was awkward for various reasons and certainly got picked on and perhaps had a fundamentalist upbringing that did not let him be who he needed to be. And he is sincere. There is a difference between watching him last night trying to go through his bill versus watching Shelby Slauson go through her bill. Like Briscoe really is like, oh, no, I don't know that purity, right? The purity of elections. I didn't know that Nazis used that word. I almost believe him. I think there's...
See, I don't buy his act for a second.
Right.
Because here's the
Tell
thing.
me more.
LGBTQ kids are picked on far more than any of those little Briscoe Canes of the world. And we don't go around doing all this bullshit.
As a 6'1" kid who was in South Texas who quit football to play to do theater, I know a thing or two about being picked on. I'm pretty cool with everybody. So I don't feel for him.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
He definitely gives me Harry Potter vibes. Like he was definitely in the cupboard under the stairs, and like, again, heart out for him, but at the same time, Bud, like maybe don't
Don't
do
pick
the things that you
Slytherin.
do.
He had a choice. The story
Drag
lets
Slytherin like
you
that.
choose. What do you wish everybody knew about the Texas legislature? The common person like Aaron.
That it's far easier to like. I think the thing, it can be a very intimidating building. I mean, it's huge, it's pink, and you've got all these like powerful people there. But I think that it's easy to forget that they are just people, and that you can just kind of walk up to people and like have either the conversations or knock on someone's office door and have a conversation with their staff. I think it's far more accessible than I think people might first realize, even though they don't allow virtual testimony and don't wear masks or anything like that. So but I think that it's far more of a people's place than it's often given credit for.
That is exactly what this show is about, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So we won. All right, great. And I
I'll
wore
be
pink the
honest.
other day, so I solved sexism. I don't know about you.
I didn't know that, Jeffrey, so thank you. I didn't know I could just mosey on it. I thought it needed to be like through a K through 12 grade field trip in order to like get in there. I didn't know that.
Or you could have your license to carry, and you could just pull out your gun and be like, I'm supposed to be here. So
This is what I really want. All these legislators act so tough about their guns, and all I want to do is have one tournament. And I just want to see, can you load a gun? Can you clean a gun? How far can you shoot? Because I have a feeling a lot of them will be like, it'll be like the nincompoop corner of Monty Python.
You could do the same thing by asking them to find the clitoris, and they'd be like, what?
Like, why? I don't need to find a clitoris. Nobody needs foreplay. Let's talk about what your position as Chief Justice is for student government. Do you get to make all the decisions?
No, I'm about like the fifth way down on the rung of the ladder, actually. But Chief Justice is it's just like adjudicating student issues. The students have issues between each other. They have issues between the administration and faculty, and it's trying to find that balance of fairness, basically. But I'm also just a student advocate. I think like academic justice is actually a real thing where students deserve to feel empowered on campus, and they deserve not to feel like they're afraid to either go to someone in student government and say, hey, I have this really pressing issue, and I want to go up against the administration or the faculty. I want them to have a champion. And so like that's what I see my role as being, is trying to help them through that process, so that way they can stand up for themselves and speak on their issues.
Do you have an example of being successful?
This past semester, we professors sometimes are a little unfair. They might be big shocker. But this semester, I kind of helped some students fight back against a professor who was just being very unfair to them in terms of like the assignment that he was giving and the standards that he was laying out for the class. It felt incredibly burdensome, and it felt like we have a lot of seniors in that class, and it was the things he was doing was potentially going to mess up their graduation. And so I don't want to see anyone, not be able to walk across that stage, later on this year because of some faculty difficulty instead of just getting it resolved. So I think we were pretty successful in that effort. We got the professor to kind of like reform his behavior and like be better through that intervention. So I think there's positive things to happen.
So talk to me about cancel culture versus learning moment culture.
Yeah. First of all, I would love for any conservative to go into any college campus that they say is this like liberal indoctrination zone or whatever, because it's like it doesn't exist. Cancel culture is like this thing that they've made up for themselves, pretty much, to have something to be angry at young people. But and to be fair, there's a lot of things to be angry at young people for. We're loud. We don't like to be walked all over, and we
You
push
can't
back.
write. By the way, you have no writing skills. I just want to let you know that.
That too.
None.
He won a contest, Stephanie. He won a writing contest.
I didn't say he wasn't creative. I just mean they can't do basic grammar. There's no periods. They can't format a letter.
But Stephanie, most grammar has been established as a way to be
Keep
colonialist.
women down.
Well, mostly people of color down.
Sorry, go on.
I'm
Ma'am.
saying, oh yeah. Anyway, we live in a structure that has been made to punish people, very specific people, and most grammar and like no one writes. If you write the way you talk, then that's fine. People understand you. You're a clear communicator.
Yeah.
Grammar is just a way for us to discriminate against people.
I have never heard this in my life, and I'm going to have to really think about it. Thanks, Mariah.
Yeah. Anyway.
All of these work, right?
This is an issue that came up with all the standardized testing too. Is that
right?
Mhm.
There's people who are really good at taking tests and people who aren't, and
some who grew up hearing things phrased a certain way that was on the test, and some people who that's not how they would normally experience a lot of the information.
Things like capitalization and grammar, like periods and commas, is that discriminatory?
I think that's all the texting.
I would argue to a certain degree. There are a lot of like linguistic prescriptivists who are like, it must be this certain way, and like, if you don't do it this certain way, you really are like you're inferior, you're stupid, and all these kinds of things, as opposed to like you have the real example of like AAV, for instance, like, oh, this breaks all these grammatical conventions, but it doesn't. It's just how people talk. So love hegemonic white society.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, as far as like, I think capitalization can be used specifically to make things more accessible for people, like especially hashtags. Like it really helps if you capitalize the first letter of every word, so it's easier to read for people who have like things like dyslexia or not everyone can like see words within words. Anyway, yeah.
I'm serious. I've never thought about this, so maybe I should take back everything I said. Okay, let's get down to the heart of the matter, Jeffrey. And we've been joking around a lot because that's what we do. And I'm slurring my words for various reasons.
Because you drive home from the Capitol.
So tired. But like, why are you doing this? What have you faced in your own life that inspires you, and what's the plan? What do you think you can accomplish, and how can we help? And by you, I mean the youth generation. I need you to speak for all of them.
You have to be the monolith.
Now, just you. Jeffrey Clemmons said, go.
Don't worry. It's not my first time being the monolith. I'm well suited for this. I think, like, to that point, I think that folks should just trust young people to know how to organize and to know how to do their job. We know how to connect with our peers. We know how to connect with our colleagues. And also sometimes we have a good idea. This past week, that's just this past Wednesday, Texas Rising, we organized something called Finals Week, where basically we pulled some of our chapters from all across the state, places like El Paso, Houston, and Dallas, and we basically brought our representatives a final assignment because it's our finals week. People should be studying for their finals, but we want to defend our rights. And so we came to the Capitol and we did some door knocking. We talked to some legislative offices and tried to push them to get some bills that have been languishing in committee to get on the floor. So we advocated for things like the George Floyd Act, obviously, HB 160 by Aaron Wiener, that lets students use their IDs as a form of identification at the polls, common sense. We also did things like the Power Act, so that way we can, actually fix our energy grid and like give people efficient energy. So things like that. And that wouldn't have occurred if, we were just waiting for someone to tell us what to do, but we actually organized amongst each other and said, well, there's only so many days left in session. We don't want to waste it. And so that's at least one of the reasons why I'm still, going to the Capitol until 3 a.m. to sit and watch them, do bullshit on the floor. But regardless, I do think that it's important. And I just hope that people can, again, trust young people to, lead the way, as we've been told to do anyways. All of our lives we've been saying, you're the future, you're going to lead the way, and people have been standing our way and prevent us from doing that, and bad things happen.
How do you balance institutional knowledge from someone who is more experienced versus the exuberance and excitement and freshness of new ideas? And I'm thinking about this movie I saw that I will never be able to tell you the name of it, but it was about China and probably when the communists took over, and it was like there were no more doctors in the hospital because they were only med students because they'd gotten rid of like where's the balance where I can say that's an awesome idea. And I did this with one of my interns. We have this geothermal bill that we're super excited about. Every time and he might be 25 or 26. Every time he writes talking points, it's like, we got to save the earth. I'm like, oh no, Leo, sweetie, we can't say that, right? You have to talk about energy production and leadership and jobs. Where can we find the middle ground? Because I still need a job. That's what I'm trying to say. Is I still need to be relevant, and I want you to be the monolith again. Go.
I think that, there's obviously like a place for everything. So like we need the institutional knowledge just because we're dealing with this like old ass institution that still has all these like pinups. For instance, the fact that we still only do this for 140 days every 2 years, that makes so much sense. But so we have to deal with those realities, and like it's about being pragmatic. But at the same time, recognizing like where messaging works and where advocacy can go a long ways, obviously, because I don't think that you can do everything with institutional power, because, a lot of the chicanery that happens in the elections committee is because of all of this, like these institutional rules and procedures and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you still also need the advocates showing up there and testifying until 4 a.m. to make sure the bill gets delayed. So that way, it doesn't get out of committee potentially. So I think that there's a way that the relationships work kind of symbiotically, I guess. I think.
Great. Well, then I think you and I should get together and make this happen.
We're already here. So.
Hey.
Okay. So, hey, what will you consider a win for this legislative session?
That's a really tough question. This legislative
session.
Yeah, I think this legislative session has been really tough on young people. Like we just passed permitless carry now, and on the College Student Commission, we're planning on doing something around gun violence. Since many of our students are coming back to campus, and so now we're going to have a permitless carry state, increased chance of there being a shooting on one of our campuses, and I don't want to see that happen. So I think that the best we can hope for is that some common sense legislation like HB 160 gets passed, that it expands access to our democracy by allowing people to use their student IDs, or we see some of these really terrible bills watered down. Hopefully all those 20 amendments, for instance, that got tagged onto HB 60 stick, and if that's going to be the law of the land, at least we made it somewhat better. And I think that I would just hope that all of our representatives are okay with sitting with the decisions that they made once they leave that building, and go back to their constituents and say, like, I ban trans kids from playing sports, and they don't get reelected because people are like, what? That's not what I sent you there to do. I sent you there to do something pragmatic, like fix the power grid or stop the violence. So.
Right. If you look at the bills that have passed, they have nothing to do with getting people back to work, keeping people in their homes, helping kids with education. It's like these ridiculous niche non-problems.
Yeah.
I have an email from Greg Abbott with like things you should know, and every single one of them are these horrible, horrible things. You certainly inspire me, and I'm excited to have you here and count you as a friend. Anybody have any questions for Jeffrey?
Not necessarily a question, but just a comment, man. Like, just keep fighting that good fight. I feel like, as someone who only genuinely cared about elections when I was like 20, and the text and just the political system at that, and then did not vote out of spite. Keep doing it, man, because now that I'm involved in stuff, like it really is dependent on the surge of young people, and I'm not that much older than you. I want to point that out. Do not call me sir. I will cry. I will shed a tear. But yeah, just keep it up. Just get more people involved, and look for that kid like me that was like, I just got to vote every 4 years when it's the president. Like, no, dumbass, you got to vote now when there's city stuff. You gotta care about these things, because you got to start small, not small, but local, and spread that way. And that's how you get people to give a damn. So I really applaud you, and thank you for being out there and doing it.
Absolutely. I mean, I thank you all for like the opportunity, and I would just say everyone should definitely get involved. I'm at the state level. I always say local politics is like the most important kind of politics, because it does affect you. But we also have to, still confront those barriers. In this May election that we just had here in Austin, there wasn't an early voting location at UT Austin. There was only a polling day or an election day, location. That's a barrier that kept people from turning out. And we had less than 25% turnout in this election. And, all these articles keep saying the people of Austin have voted for Prop B. And it's like, no one voted, though.
What was the percentage? Because honestly, 25% is pretty good versus the like 4% of a runoff.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that this past election was the highest turnout local election like in Texas history for Travis County, at least. But it was still under 25%. I think it was like 24.33 was like the last number that I saw, overwhelmingly in West Austin, of course. So, but again, that the inequitable distribution of like polling places, the fact that people don't know there's a May election, I mean, these are all things preventing young people from getting out there. So, but again, thank you.
Well, I certainly hope that it's kind of out of my cold dead hands. No matter what barriers they put up, we're going to overcome them, and I'm excited. Okay, last question. If you were alone in a room with Greg Abbott and nobody knew what the conversation was going to be, what would you ask him?
I would ask him how he talks out of both sides of his mouth at the same time, always, and it constantly is spewing not good things, I'll say. So that would be my question.
All right.
Well,
thank you very much, Jeffrey.
Thank you all.
I almost saw him today, FYI, and I've only learned this recently, is that when he's in the building, they always halt one elevator so it stays open, and then they have what I assume are like Texas's version of Secret Service. And so today I was walking around and I was like, oh my God, I know he's around.
Like Voldemort.
Exactly.
I really
another Horcrux somewhere in the cafeteria.
I really hope the Texas Secret Service is just like a bunch of the Dallas Cowboy mascots rowdy, just 6 of them surrounding Governor Abbott.
Yeah. All right, Amy, get us out.
All right. Thank you so much to Aaron and to Mariah and our Over the Ledge benevolent Empress Stephanie Tiarello. And thank you, Jeffrey, for taking time to talk to us tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you to Mariah Gossett also for recording us and making us sound good. And to our lead correspondent interns who worked on tonight's show, Benedict Parks, with a little help from our funniest intern who we will still refuse to pay, Sam Holloman.
Oh, no.
He wrote that. It's true. And I believe Lily, I think it was a whole team effort. Sam's really funny, and I adore Benedict. Sam's okay.
Find you a sponsor to pay these interns.
I'm trying so hard, Mariah. I really need help with that.
Yes.
And thank you also very much to our host, Amy Lowry. Such a wonderful voice.
Yeah.
And I want you to know this is like going out on Friday night to me now. I'm like, I get to hang out with my friends and we do a podcast and I get a little tipsy and then 150 people listen.
Yeah.
Hey.
So really, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's our show. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok at Over the Ledge with no D. Freedom isn't free. It costs $1.05. So please consider supporting Over the Ledge with a contribution so we can keep educating you about the Texas legislature and pay our interns.
I would love to pay our intern. I just need $150,000.
Yeah.
And this thing will become the next Colbert Show.
If all of our listeners could just throw us $1,000, you can go to patreon.com/overtheledge. Contribute.
All right. Get us out of here, Mariah. Woo!
Bye.